Okay, so we're going to solve this equation. So we need to combine our like terms. So first I'm going to do my 2y's. I end up with 8y. Then I'm going to combine here and I end up with plus 6. So I've combined everything with like terms. Over here I'm going to clear the distributive property. So 2 times 4y is 8y. And 2 times 3 is 6, so plus 6. So now this is one of those things where infinitely one solution, 0 solutions, or infinitely many solutions. So if we end up solving this and moving this, to both sides, we're going to end up with 0 equals 0, right? So if we made this any solution, right, picked any number, we're going to end up with this side equaling that side. So that's going to give you really, I don't know, I think that gives you infinitely many. But you have to write that out in words and why that is. So, I would say that would be infinitely many because you could plug in any number into here and you would end up with each side equaling each side once you solve the equation, okay? And that's what I would say for that. So you can stop this and review that if you want. It's basically just combining your like terms here, doing your distributive property, and then you're done. All right, so then the last, so then we have 3 minus 2x is greater than or equal to 5. So then we're going to do minus 3 and minus 3. So end up with negative 2x is greater than or equal to 2. Here's our negative coefficient again, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do minus 2, divide by 2 here, divide by 2 here. So x is less than or equal to negative 1. That's how that problem would work itself out. Okay. And if you were going to graph that problem, you would have 0 here, you'd have negative 1 here. So you'd have a closed circle at negative 1, with x being less than or equal to. So we're going to the left here. And that's the way I would solve that problem. Again, this negative coefficient means we have to switch the direction of our inequality. Let's look at the last one of those. We have 4x. 4x minus 10 is less than 2. So we're going to do add 10 here and add 10 here. This is going to be 4x is greater than or less than 12. Divide by 4 and divide by 4. So x is less than 3. There was no negative coefficient. So 0, 3, open circle, going to the left. There you go. And then, again, you can stop if you need to. And then, so simplifying each square, right? So let's just go ahead and break this down. So the square root of 80. So let's just break this down so we can break this down to the square root of 2 times the square root of 40. 2 times 40. So then we can break this down again to the square root of 2 times the square root of 20. And we can break this down again to the square root of 2 and the square root of 10. And then we can break this down to the square root of 2 and the square root of 5. Right? Yeah. So here I have now the square root of 2, times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 5. So these two simplify to 2. These two simplify to 2. And then this just is the square root of 5. So 2 times 2 is 4 times the square root of 5. And that would be your final answer. So if this becomes confusing, right? This 1, 2, 3, 4 square roots of 2, you could have broken this down as a square root of, so let me just erase that real quick. You can see that again if you want to. Square root of 80 can become the square root of 16 and the square root of 5. So the square root of 16, if you just work that out, that's 4 times the square root of 5, right? So this can be plus or minus 4. So that's the same thing. So square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. If you broke all this down and did all this, this would really just be the square root of 4 times the square root of 4. So you end up back at the square root of 16, and that answer is still 4. So that's kind of how you do that problem. I like to break these down because you know that 2 times 2 is 4. So when you combine that together, it's just 2. And you can know that these two here, that combines you together, and that just is 2. And then just multiply those two together and get 4. Just like you know, in the same way that these two equal 2, square root of 4 times the square root of 4 just equals 4. So that's that one. We can also do square root of 108. Square root of 108. And I don't know, that maybe end up being the cube root. 108. So if I break that down, we'll end up with square root of 2 and the square root of 54. And then that would break down to the square root of 6. You know what, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do the square root, I'm going to do this as the square root of 2 and the square root of 27. So here we can write this out as the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, which is going to give us 2 again. And then we can do a cube root here, because 3 times 3 times 3. So this is going to give us, we can do the cube root of that, which is going to give us 3. So we can really just break that down to 6. Is that really how that's going to work? The cube root of that's going to be really 3. I'll have to think about that for a second, because I feel like that should just come out as 3, or 3. Maybe write it like that. No, not really. I'll have to play with that one. I'll play with that one before I actually send it to you. 4. Yeah. All right. There you go. Thank you.